welcome to Autism Spa. I'm here with Arman and Andy. They're going to tell us about financial planning for the special needs community and really what we need to watch out for. But the key thing, we're in California, but of course, your advice is not only national, but it could be specific to state, any state regulations or taxes that people need to be aware of. Each state is a little different, so that's always a consideration. But having said that, Andy, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us about your background, and then Arman, same thing, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my name's Andy Hixon. I work for Synergy Wealth Solutions here in St. Louis. Kind of my background and how I got here, my journey, is my now 6-year-old son was diagnosed with autism at 2. And went through the whole thing, the first 100 days and everything like that. Quickly, we got him to a great ABA therapy school. And, my wife handled all that. She shopped around. She found the best place. Great fit. He's been there forever. They actually call him King James. And kind of reflecting, going back, I started realizing we were making every type of financial mistake there was. And it wasn't a mistake. So much wasn't taken advantage of, using the most of our knowledge. And how did you craft that? Well, being there myself, I realized there's so much information that comes and overwhelms you that, we may not be able to do that. Arman and I work in the financial industry every single day. This is what we do. I'm not a therapist. I'm a dad. The therapist will know what to do, but when my son comes home, I'm still just the fun dad who, we wrestle, we tickle, stuff like that. But going through, I realized we weren't taking advantage of like HSAs, ABLE accounts, stuff like that. And so I started crafting this a little bit more. And then the long-term aspect of financial planning for, special needs kids is there's various stages. Our stage with a young family. The middle stage, when your son is still dependent and an adult. And then kind of the ultimate stage is father time still undefeated, 100%. You might be able to craft the best special needs trust there is, but that's just an empty shoebox. How do you manage that? How do you fill that? How do you make sure that when you're gone, you can still protect your child? And there's just little different ways that you have to do. I mean, it's still the same as, planning for my other son who's typical. We plan very similar with him, but it has to be a little bit different. You have to be a little bit more defensive. And there's just various ways. One big piece that we use a lot is permanent life insurance for 2 reasons. One, it's contractually based. And what we've seen now a lot is probate courts, especially like in New York State, are backed up for years. Well, if you still have to fund your dependent's life after you're gone, and it's backed up for 3, 4, 5 years, that that trust sits empty, and you can withdraw from it. So permanent life-based insurance, it's contractually based, it doesn't have to go through probate, and it guarantees it's the ultimate defensive tool there is. So when you are called, it funds that trust.
Yeah. So Arman, tell us, how did you get here? How did this become? You don't have any kids yet, do you?
No. So what brought me
He is engaged.
I am engaged. Yes. What brought me personally actually in this industry was my junior year of high school. My father actually passed away from cancer. And kind of just like being from a diverse background, I'm Iranian, fully Iranian myself. Both of my parents were born in Tehran. Growing up, I understood the stubbornness and just kind of how Iranians react when it comes to talking about financial or personal information, and quite honestly, they like relating with people who remind themselves of themselves. Sure. And I knew being Iranian in this field, I would be able to have these conversations better with my family, my close friends growing up. So when my father passed away, it hit personally that, he didn't have any of this in place because just kind of his comfort level of not being able to talk to anyone, planning for after he's gone for me, my sister, my stepmom. And then how I bonded with Andy through it is actually, I have a lot of special needs in my family. I actually have cousins with autism and Down syndrome. So that's kind of how we grew our partnership together. And, we work with a very diverse background. Me being diverse, I base a lot of my business and clientele around other Iranians. Sure. And it's been cool seeing Andy interact with all my family and my friends as well. And then when it comes to the special needs, I know that's more of where Andy is better explaining than me and better, just kind of better educated than me. So sure. I try and take kind of his advice, relay it back to my family who has special needs students as well.
And actually, kind of how we started working together. It's his first day. He couldn't tie a tie. So for pictures, I literally had to tie his tie for him.
That's okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. But you know, like I said, you know, I think special needs autism and all the intellectual disabilities are difficult enough. When you add to it cultural issues, like you mentioned, double, you know, whammy, and you know what you described about your father, and a lot of dads from that generation are not big into financial planning. And if they are, they do it in the old school way, which does not really integrate at all with American financial systems or the insurance things that you mentioned, Andy, and all the precautions that a smart person should take, whether they have special needs kids or not. We just don't do that kind of planning. It's just not done. So I'm glad you're doing it. I wish you great success. I think the community needs a lot more folks like you, because so often when that older generation passes away, you know, kids and everyone's left to fend for themselves, probate, God knows what else, all kinds of financial difficulties. So going back to you, Andy, you know, kind of, like you said, there's 3 stages, as I imagine, you know, being I guess, I don't know if I'm the middle stage. My son's 13, my other son's typical at 12. I'm definitely, you know, not a newbie anymore. I'm almost a veteran, been through it all, but I'm still learning. So at whatever stage, you know, let's say you start with that early stage, you just realize that your son or your child is special needs. Most people naturally don't think of financial planning right then, right? Depending on how old they are. Like if they're a young family, just young people don't think about financial planning in general, retirement, right? So what is the simplest thing that a special needs parent can do as in the first 5 years of life? And then we'll move to the next stage.
Well, honestly, the simplest thing is just sit down and meet with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's really the first step. It's the simplest step. We really preach the kind of 2 paths approach. So the first path is financial improvement, where you'd sit there and maybe need a little bit more life insurance. What about all those 401ks that you have? You know, people jump jobs a lot more. What do we have for the very basic financial needs that you do? Let's start working with that. And then the second step is actual fee-based financial planning. And that's where we would take everything in your financial junk drawer, put it all together, create a living, breathing document. And depending on the extent, actually, we actually work with Sanford Phoenix, who specializes in wills, trusts, and special needs trust. We'd craft that, you know, special needs trust. We'd fund it. We'd make sure everything was going well, you know, and a lot of people have, you know, that old 401k, a Roth, you know, life insurance, businesses. You know, rental properties in various states, and you can combine all that together, and it updates, I think, every day, if not every week, and you can sit there and go through it, and it's a really pretty incredible living, breathing thing. And when you go through that, it almost automates all your financials.
Right. So meeting with someone first, one of the, I don't know, it seems odd, but people always, I think, wonder, how do you get to a financial planner? Like through work, sometimes a lot of jobs offer financial planning as like a job perk, right? Whether you have that or not, how would someone get to a financial? Do you have to pay as a consultant? How does the relationship work?
No. So the most important thing to remember when you're meeting with a financial planner is it's about you. And you want to go and get your proper financial team together. You know, your lawyer, your accountant, your financial planner, and they're everywhere. And the most important thing is, not only for special needs financial plan, but just planning in general, is you want to meet with somebody you're comfortable with. That we have something like 84 advisors in this office alone. A lot of them, you know, all of them are my friends, but when I do joint partner work, I work with different people depending on the personality. I mean, you know, if someone's real high energy, high pace, you may want an advisor who's high energy, high pace, or you may want one who's very cool, calm, and laid back. Some people like the very, you know, keep it simple. Other people love to get deep in the weeds. So when you meet with a financial planner, regardless of what it is, you want to walk out of there feeling good about yourself, feeling comfortable about yourself, because, especially in our cases, this could be relationships that last for 40 years or 50 years in Arman's career.
Sure. And I think you mentioned accountant, lawyers, I think most people process in their head, okay, I know why I need an accountant. I got to do my taxes. I know why I need a lawyer. Something happened. I need a lawyer. There's transaction involved. But of course, financial planning should be in the middle of all that because it's all interrelated. But if they don't have access through work, like I have access through, a financial planner is available to me, pick up the phone, they just talk to me, it's free, it's part of my compensation package, I guess I can say. But if they don't have that, they can just come to your office and they can pick whoever they want, but do you charge hourly? How does it work?
No. So when we meet with somebody, we do go to the two paths. We sit just like we're doing.
Yeah.
We have what we call a fact find.
Sure.
Then we go down and it's about 6 pages. And the first question we always lead off with is, what do you want to accomplish? What questions do you have?
Sure.
We go from there because we're not mind readers. I mean, we never want to be, when someone walks in, we already know what canned package they're going to give. That some people have, somebody walks in and goes, I have this $10,000 life policy that I need to make a claim on for my mom who just passed away. Well, if you walk in and don't ask, what do you want to accomplish? All you'll do is be very transactional. Yeah. And we're very holistic. You have to see the complete picture. You have to be comfortable. And then jumping back into the special needs realm, we're dealing with a more vulnerable society.
Yeah.
I mean, my son's nonverbal. I want to have extreme trust with everybody who's going to be dealing with him in his life. Yeah. And knowing that, what happens, I've suffered 2 personal family losses within the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You never know what the future might hold. So, I hope to live a long, prosperous life, but you never know. And then the next generation, I have to make sure he's as well taken care of as possible. And I want to make sure, he's with trusting, loving people.
Yeah. So obviously, people go through in special needs planning and special needs acceptance, I'm going to say, people go through a period of mourning. I want to say there's some adjustment period to realizing your child has special needs and how severe it is and whether they're making progress. All those early years I remember well. It's still tough, but like I said, I got a lot of gray hairs now. I'm a lot more used to it. A lot of parents are like that. They get used to it. And then they start turning their focus into how can I be constructive? How can I get over this? Because it's not about me, it's about my kid. And I want to make sure I set something up for my kid where he doesn't have to worry. Basically, the bottom line is you want your kid taken care of when you're gone or when you're not able to make decisions anymore about their financial well-being. So the first thing, my advice sounds like your advice, obviously to any parent, is, sit down, meet with a financial planner, get some goals together, and try to consolidate all of what you just articulated is very correct. Most people's assets are all scattered to the wind. You got one 401k there, you got a little retirement there, you got something hidden under the mattress there, you got money and property and God knows what benefits. It's all scattered. And the first thing sounds like you can do is help them consolidate their assets based on their goals. Let's say if it's special needs, again, I'm just oversimplifying. People just want to make sure that their kid is taken care of when they're gone. But what does that mean? Does that mean they live in the house that you're living in? Does that mean they go to a condo or apartment or a home? Most people's idea of that, what we're talking about, is Rain Man. Not everybody can leave a $3 million trust and live in a mansion and have, as an adult, in their 50s, 60s, right? So I imagine you work with people to help them set those goals, which may mean they may have to make different decisions today so they can reach those goals for their kid when they're gone in 20, 30 years, right? That's how you align the activities of the client to their ultimate expected outcome when they're gone, right?
A lot of times we say, like, why would I need you when I have an accountant type thing?
Yeah.
And we always go, accountants tell you what happened last year.
Yeah.
We're to help plan from today on. And, talk about, the Rain Man scenario where, we're leaving a $3 million trust. What we do is we legacy plan.
Yeah.
Rules, regulations, different vehicles we can use. You can legitimately leave a $3 million trust in today's money to people. And, you don't have to put away hundreds of thousands of dollars a year type thing. It's little changes and taking advantages of, I was speaking with a guy one time and he goes, I have no money to save. He's an autism dad. Yeah. And I go, have you taken full advantage of your HSA? He goes, no, I haven't.
Tell us more about HSA a little bit. I'm sorry. Just tell us a little bit more.
So an HSA is a health savings account. Mm-hmm. And what it is, if you have a high deductible, which is $7,200 a year or more, you can put that money back in a special savings account. It grows. You can invest in different ways. And it comes out much like your 401k before taxes. So you're getting a tax advantage on $7,200 per year. And the wonderful thing about that is, if you have, it's for all families. You don't have to use it solely for your special needs family. The other day I bought contacts. I swiped my card through. So that's just a tax deduction of $7,200, which, if you're in the 25% tax bracket, that's a couple dollars here and there that you can reposition. Yeah. An ABLE account, it's also something you can put back, and depending on the state laws, you may not have to pay income tax on it. And you can bank that typically up to about $100,000, and it doesn't affect SSI, Medicaid, Medicare.
I see.
So it's steps like that, or if you start organizing things and getting some things locked in early on, either as a percentage of your salary or just a base dollar amount, that, if you get something locked in the base dollar amount, a dollar was a lot more in someone's life in 1900 than it is in 2021.
Right.
And if you lock something in percentage base, knowing I'm always going to put 2, 3, 4, 5% of my salary, my household income into it, as hopefully your income grows, the amount you take out remains the same. And if it's locked in a dollar amount, it actually decreases.
Right. So we talked about some programs, some products. Early, it sounds like anything else, early intervention is always better in anything in life, right? And financial planning is no different. And so, I think, I'm just hypothesizing that sometimes people dumb it down and they say, well, look, I'm just going to get life insurance and whatever, $100 a month or $200 a month, that's like the easiest thing most people can understand, right? Depending on your health and how much you get, and they think, okay, I'm just going to leave them a lump of money at the end. That's my financial planning. That's as much as you can expect from me. Is that prudent? Is that enough? Do you find that as the only solution or a supplement to all these other things?
There's supplemental things also. So, truly, permanent life insurance that builds cash is the best thing for that. Now you have to have other investments and everything, but as you're going through this, you have to remember, you need to protect your child, but then also protect yourself. And we actually have a program called Taming the Bear Market, where you take a couple different vehicles, combine them all into one, and it helps protect your child when you're gone. It is through life insurance. It helps you retire with a higher, more stable account. And then there's other vehicles that we have, like long-term care. The worst thing you could do is, okay, let's say, there are people who don't believe in, life insurance, whole life insurance. They go, I'm just going to invest everything. Hey, that's great. That's one way to do it. But then, if you wind up, in some type, a home or something, you have a stroke, you have Alzheimer's, 2 or 3, 4 years, in some type of assisted living at $4,800 a month eats away at your nest egg. And so it's how you can plan. And once you get your defense in, if you get a good, solid, strong defense, what you can do on the other side, the offensive side, the investments, you can actually be a lot more aggressive. You can, I'm a football fan. You can actually throw the ball down the field. You can just open things up. You have chances where, I want to say, you can be a little bit more risky.
Right. So early intervention, consolidate, think about supplementing, think about how you can really move your financial portfolio towards your goals. Anything else? Any other kind of must-haves that people need to think about, other than, of course, coming and talking with the financial planner?
There actually is, and this has nothing to do with financial planning.
Yeah.
One of the most important things, and one of our special needs attorneys is a really good friend of mine. We're the same age. We've gone through we had kids about the same time. We got married within about 2 weeks of each other. And we can speak very candidly to each other. We're the type of people who, can almost get in a fist fight, one day, and then we're playing golf the next, and we're fine. But we've spoken very candidly, and we've bounced things off of each other. And one thing we always try and do when we work together on a plan is a daily activity sheet. And it's the most basic thing, but nobody ever thinks about it. And the example I always use is my 6-year-old. When he goes to the bathroom, any autism dad knows, potty training's a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
Once you get that done, you want to keep it that way. But his routine is he has a yellow tablet. He has to have his yellow tablet. He goes to the bathroom, and then when he's done, he's rewarded with an Oreo.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't have those exact things, some pun intended, he's going to lose his poop.
Yeah, sure.
And my brother and his wife, who's a doctor, if something was to happen to me and my wife, they would take over. And without that daily sheet of knowing what James has to do, they would have no idea. Two very smart, competent, loving people who would be left in the dark. And they'd have to rely on my 7-year-old communicating why his brother is having a fit.
Yeah.
So
no, that's important. That's, I would say kids don't come with an instruction book. Special needs kids especially don't come with an instruction book. So a daily activity chart helps I think it just chips away. It's like eating an elephant, right? One bite at a time. It helps make the very large task ahead of you, which I can speak from experience, is overwhelming. It is overwhelming to be faced with all the different challenges you got to deal with as a special needs dad. On top of the care, the life safety care, food of your child. It's just, I think most people don't think about financial planning. But let me ask you this: does financial planners don't set up trust? That's lawyers do that.
Correct. Yes.
Right. But of course, you work within those frameworks. Obviously, to help your client make sure they have a well-rounded portfolio of protection. Supplemented by everything you can think of, so you can increase the chances of them meeting their goals, God forbid, when they're not able to make those decisions that their child is taken care of. And, what can I say? It's the number one fear of any special needs dad or parent, right? It's what happens to my kid when I'm gone. That's nothing keeps you up more than that one single fact, right? So I think you're in a very important line of work. Often, frankly, underappreciated because people see the transactional nature of lawyers and accountants, but financial planners are really what I think fits the whole picture together. Otherwise, you would have giant gaps in, like you say, last year's tax return or some deed or some trust, but then how is it going to actually be implemented? And the financial planners can help you implement that long-term plan you have for your kid. Let me switch to Arman a little bit. Arman, we talked a little bit about the culture shock and cultural transition. Iranian Americans, really any minority community that's adjusting. Financial planning is done in a very, very old-fashioned way. Here I'm going to write you a check, or I'm going to make this home in your name. That's the extent of financial planning for a lot of folks from us back east. Right. People from back east. So what has been your experience in talking with your, Iranian Americans, other maybe minorities, about how to bring them, I want to say, into the 2020s, how to bring them into the modern era in a financial perspective?
Right. Well, the biggest key for me is connecting with them on a personal level. Like I said at the very beginning, people enjoy working with other people who remind them of themselves. When they know they have another Iranian American who's, fluent in both Iranian and English, they feel comfortable. They will open up to you more. And when I share the story of why I got into this, they would say, okay, he's in it for the best of me. He's in it for the good part. He's not going to be as they would say, a sneezy salesman. He's not going to try and sell me anything. He's truly in it for my own benefit. So when you gain that trust, it really just opens up their whole kind of like Andy referenced their playbook. They're willing to give you their personal information, share personal information with you that they might have not even told other people, but they know that you have the backing with them. And when you sit down and meet with them and you gain that trust, it really just expands everything. You know, people, they're willing to put themselves out there and listen to you and listen to advice and recommendations. And one thing I've learned from the cultural difference is Iranians are very more stubborn when it comes to finances and personal information. That's just how it is.
Sure.
You know, I like to think of an example as when I work with American clients, they're always, what's for the best interest of my family? What can I do to make sure my son is taken care of? Special needs or not, my family taken care of. However, you know, Iranians think with the mindset of, oh, well, nothing's ever going to happen to me. And if it does, I have my uncle, I have my brother, I have whatever. You know, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the wrong, but they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and they just don't know what else is out there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you can say that almost about any old world culture that's transitioned to this country and learned to adjust. I think you guys are, you know, of course, the moniker may say financial planning, but you're in the life-changing business. You know, you're in helping people change their lives to the correct trajectory so they get to where they want to go. Because it sounds like if they haven't done any financial planning, they could be on a different trajectory, and they may have envisioned something in their head, but it's not the way life works. And when you're challenged with special needs kids, you have to get ahead of life. You know, you just can't wait until it happens to you and then you say, oh, I wish I would have done this, you know. So this has been great. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. I'm going to have your info on the opening of the video and your contact info. So I think we've learned a lot, and I really encourage people to reach out to you and make their own decisions about financial planning and really help their special needs kids have the best chance for success and maybe even sleep a little bit better at night.
And it's funny you bring that up. So what we always bring up in every meeting is with the financial stress, if we can take that stress off your plate, that's more energy you can put, you know, quite frankly, back into yourself or back towards your family. And that's our goal, is to take that stress off your plate.
Right. I like it. Less stress. I can use all of it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.